I'm Chef Boria, and it's time to cook. Today, I'm going to be making Thomas Keller's pork loin. I was lucky enough to get reservations at his famous restaurant, the French Laundry, so I picked up a couple of his books, and I'm going to make one of the recipes out of it. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a delicious brine. You can make a brine out of just salt or salt and sugar. This is salt. It uses some honey for the sweetness, and it has some herbs and spices. It smells amazing. It smells like a stock. If you don't have time to make this brine, you can simply just do the salt and water and put your pork in it. By brining it, we're gonna get all kinds of additional flavors that are gonna be absolutely amazing, and it's gonna make the pork more succulent and juicy and delicious. For the brine, you're gonna need 8 cups of water, half a bunch of thyme, 3 sprigs of rosemary, 12 bay leaves, a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of honey, half a bunch or 2 ounces of flat parsley. Right here is half a cup of garlic that I've crushed and left the skins on, 5 ounces of salt, 2 tablespoons of black peppercorns. On your stovetop, bring it to a boil. As it's coming up to the boil, stir it occasionally, get that salt dissolved and the honey worked in. Once it's at a boil, let it sit there for 1 minute and then go ahead and remove it from the heat. We need it to cool completely. Once the mixture is cooled, go ahead and cover your pork loin with it. You want it completely submerged. Cover it with plastic wrap and place it in the fridge. Leave your pork in the brine for the next 6 to 10 hours. No longer than 10 hours though, or it might get too salty. In the meantime, go about your day. Head to work. And while you're at work, think about how all those delicious flavors are penetrating your pork. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear it. I agree. The judge is being unreasonable, but you know, if you break into someone's house on 3 occasions and you admit to it, you're gonna get jail time. And think about that sweet pork while you're dealing with this all day. Once 10 hours has passed, pull your pork loin out, pull it out of the brine, pat the pork loin dry, and then just set it aside while we prepare the rest of the food. We want it to get to room temperature. Take your fennel bulb and remove the stalks. Trim the bottom. When you trim your fennel down, we're looking for about 1.25 inches long, 1/2 inch thick. Just like that. We want 1/2 cup of these. Anything extra, we can save and use that as a side. With your ciabatta bread, we're gonna make 1/2 inch cubes, and we need 1/2 cup worth. Okay, that should be about 1/2 cup. In your saute pan on a medium-high heat, add a little olive oil or canola oil, and then make some croutons. Once it's toasted on all sides, go ahead and set it aside so that it can drain of any extra grease. Put your pan back on the heat, toss in your fennel. If you have to add a little more oil to the pan, go ahead. After 2 to 3 minutes, toss in a teaspoon of minced garlic and a tablespoon of minced shallots. The recipe calls for making your own fig jam, but figs are not in season right now, so I bought my own fig jam. 1 cup of fig jam is going into my pan to get warm. Roughly 2 teaspoons of balsamic glaze. Once it's nice and warm, add your breadcrumbs back in, 1/4 cup of chicken stock, and 1/2 teaspoon of finely chopped thyme. Salt and pepper, 1 last stir, and now we're gonna set it aside and let it cool down to room temp. In order to stuff the pork loin, we're gonna have to cut a hole into it. Take your longest, skinniest knife. In the center, you're gonna cut straight down, and then you're gonna turn the knife and cut it the other way. Might even be easier to go halfway through, spin it around, and then meet it on the other side. Here comes the messy part of stuffing the cavity. You could use a bag, like a pastry bag, or be lazy like me and clean up more later and just shove it on in. Get as much as you can get in there, and when you think it's as full as it's going to get on this side, flip it over and get as much as you can from the other side. I may have overstuffed it a bit. When I go to sear this, I'm going to have to wipe a lot of this off. Use chef's twine to tie it up to help it cook more evenly. I'm not good at this. Just do your best. actually not unhappy with this. Your oven to 350, get a pan hot so that we can brown our loin. And salt and pepper on the top. Once your pan is hot, see that mine's smoking, it's medium high. Gonna use tongs, make sure you've got a solid grip on this thing because you do not want to drop it. 2 to 3 minutes each side. While it's browning, I'm gonna salt and pepper the other side. Getting color pretty fast. I am happy with that caramelization. That looks good. Be careful not to squeeze it when you're turning it or you're going to push your stuffing out. All right, I am happy with how this looks. It's nice and browned on all sides. I'm going to go ahead and put it into a roasting rack now and into the oven. In the roasting rack, into the oven, 350, 30 minutes. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. And that looks pretty damn delicious. Looks beautiful. I'm gonna let it rest. All right, I've let it rest for probably 20 minutes. Let's cut into it. Still got a little bit of pinkness in there, which is what I was going for. Looks beautiful. I'm pretty happy with this. I am serving it with some broccoli that I sauteed with garlic and hot peppers. Then I took the rest of the fennel and I caramelized it. That's amazing. Enjoy.